You're watching Rurouni K95's movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn. Hi, Ruronis. This is your pal, Rurouni K95 here. So today we decided to do another horror movie review just to cover a horror comedy movie. For today's horror movie review is basically another film from Wes Craven, because I've already did a review on A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I've uploaded earlier. For today's horror movie review, we got to cover some horror movies with a horror comedy. That's why. For today's horror movie review is Vampire in Brooklyn. This movie, Vampire in Brooklyn, stars Eddie Murphy, which we'll get to more about it after I finish about the review on Vampire in Brooklyn. A ship of dead men steers into Brooklyn Harbor. It keeps on until it runs aground. A large wolf jumps from the ship. The wolf is the vampire Maximilian, played by Eddie Murphy, who's known for Shrek, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop movies, as well as other ones he did. The sole survivor of the massacre of a tribe of vampires living on an island in the Bermuda Triangle, Max has come to Brooklyn to find Rita Vedder, the half-vampire daughter born to a human and a vampire from his tribe. Meanwhile, Julius Jones isn't having a good night. First, there was a ship that ran aground and plowed right through the building where he and Silas Green, played by John Witherspoon, were working. Then his woman kicked him out of the house for snoring while otherwise engaged. Now two thugs are after him for his money or his blood. Then, just as Julius is about to meet his maker, the vampire Maximilian shows up, neatly kills off the two thugs, then informs Julius that he has to become his Renfield, and that the first thing he must do is retrieve Max's coffin from the ship. Ship and Doc are crawling with the law, of whom one is Detective Rita Vedder. Rita and her partner, Justice, played by Alan Payne, had been sent to investigate the accident in the harbor, and the 18 bodies aboard the lands in the cargo hold, where she finds coffin and glimpse of Max, who recognizes her immediately. Rita chases him, but disappears when she returns to the cargo hold. When the coffin is gone, a human ear remaining its place, Max and Julius takes the coffin to Julius's house, an apartment he rents from Silas. The ship's log is retrieved, but is written in some obscure language that no one at the university can decipher. It's sent to Dr. Zeko for translation. Zeko turns out to be a nightclub, but Zeko, played by Zakes Moke, is able to tell that the log speaks about Nosferatu on board. As Rita sits at a table waiting for Justice to return from a phone call, she doesn't notice that a cobra in a nearby terrarium has escaped and is crawling toward her. Fortunately, Max is seated nearby and catches the cobra just in time, giving Max the perfect opportunity to introduce himself to Rita. He asks her to dance, believing that one dance with him will make her his. But Justice returns and Julius butts in with his jive talk, so Rita splits, not enthralled with Max. Rita and Justice go back to the apartment. Rita shares with the roommate, Nikki, played by Simbi Kalhi. Nikki comes to Justice, but he turns her down and leaves. Instead, Nikki picks up Max and brings him home. Rita overhears the bumping and screaming in Nikki's bedroom. The next morning, Rita finds that Nikki has split with all her belongings, and there is notes saying that she's getting an apartment with a man she had just met. Rita assumes it is Justice, and she becomes very jealous. Speaking of which, time is growing short. Max is starting to using drastic measures like taking on the personas of the other people, such as the preachy Polly and stupid Guido, in order to get closer to Rita. But Max's plan to seem backfire, so he takes the direct route and saves her from being run over by the overspeeding taxi. In gratitude, Rita accepts a dinner date with him. Max hurries back to Julius's apartment and casts every spell he knows to change it from a pigsty to an elegant love nest, complete with Candrabala's fireplace and a baby grand piano. He finally manages to get his dance with Rita, as well as a bite on her neck. Julius is enjoying the benefits of working for a vampire, driving back the limo with vanity plates that say "Rest in Peace." He is also having to adjust side effects, acquiring taste for bugs and losing parts of his body. First his ear, then his right hand, and then his hair, and an eye, then his whole right arm. Meanwhile, Justice is following up a lead that suggests Julius might have been involved with killing off the two thugs a few nights ago. The next morning, Justice pays a visit to Julius's apartment where he meets Silas Green, who tells him that Rita was there all night with the new tenant, some suave guy. Then Justice receives a call from the dispatcher sending him to investigate a DOA at Brooklyn City Hall. It turns out to be Nikki. Justice goes to Rita's apartment and to tell her about Nikki. As he is holding her, Rita tears her into fangs, and she tries to bite his neck. Out of the corner of her eye, she notices her reflection in the mirror is fading. She runs into Max, who tells her of her father, the vampire. Justice goes to see Dr. Zecco, who tells him the story of Rita's mother, a researcher who was studying the vampires on his island and who succumbed to the powers of the dark side. Rita is the result, he says. He warns Justice that he must kill Max and do it before Rita loses all of her humanity. Max attempts to teach Rita about how to feed, but she refuses. When she tries to run away, Max retrieves her and brings her to his apartment, intending to leave for the island. In the morning, he brings Silas to her, but Justice and Zecco arrive just in time to stop him from feeding on him. A fight breaks out, of course, but Max is easily able to dodge their fists and stakes. Justice searches out for Max's coffin and opens it, showing she stops long enough to share a kiss with Max, and then stakes him, claiming that this part of her must die. Rita and Justice end up in each other's arms. And the epilogue in Vampire in Brooklyn, Max is dead, and Julius doesn't have much left in the way of limbs, skin, arms, etc. But Silas reminds him that he does have the limo, but then they decide to go for a ride in the back seat. Julius finds a ring left behind Max and places it on his finger. Poof. Julius has back on all his parts, and then some. There is a new vampire in Brooklyn, and his name is Julius Jones. So that's how you end this movie, with a ride in a limo, a black limo. And the thing about Vampire in Brooklyn was, I think I saw this movie when I first saw it on Showtime or HBO or Cinemax back in the 2005 when I was watching this movie. This movie was directed by Wes Craven, who's known for slasher and horror films, especially Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream movies. His notable films include The Last House on the Left, The Hills of Ice, Swamp Thing, The Serpent and the Rainbow, Shocker, The People Under the Stairs, Music of the Heart, and Red Eye. Probably one of his works. Vampire in Brooklyn features Eddie Murphy in this movie. Vampire in Brooklyn was the final film produced under Eddie Murphy's exclusive contract with Paramount Pictures that began with 48 Hours and included the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Vampire in Brooklyn was released in the United States on October 27th, 1995, and failed to meet the studio's expectations at the box office. It received general negative reviews and has been regarded by some of one of Eddie Murphy's weakest movies in later years. However, the film has earned a cult following among fans, especially for Eddie Murphy and Bassett's chemistry, the humor, musical score, and Wes Craven's plot direction. And the plot and the production about Vampire in Brooklyn, stunt performer Sanja Davis was fatally injured performing a 42-foot 13 backward fall. According to Charlie Murphy, the movie was originally going to be a straight horror film with no laughs, but Wes Craven brought a different focus to it. He also said Maximilian wasn't going to have any redeeming qualities, but Wes taught us that we must get the audience to care about our characters, and even if they didn't know any vampires personally, they would at least have to identify with the type of person he was. About the movie, Eddie Murphy said, "I've always wanted to do something where I was the villain in the movie. I love horror pictures, and I was a big fan of Wes Craven. The movie started out as something small. This was a movie my company was going to produce, and the screenplay came together so well that I thought it will be a fun role to play because I got to do something kind of scary and had safety net because the vampire can turn into other people's. I get to be funny when I'm in the preacher, and I get to be funny when I'm the Italian guy, and the vampire is pretty straight, and I got all these funny stuff happening around me. I felt it was a unique piece to do." The movie Vampire in Brooklyn filming lasted 55 days, which are 3 were spent on the location in New York City, and the rest were spent in Los Angeles. Vampire in Brooklyn was released to coincide with the Halloween season. The film received mostly negative reviews, while Murphy began concentrating on the more family-friendlier movies with his remake, The Nutty Professor, which I haven't reviewed The Nutty Professor yet, but maybe for another time, I guess. So that's going to be it for my horror movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn, you guys. Thanks for watching, but before we go, here's my quick thoughts about it. This is the first. I haven't done a review on Vampire in Brooklyn until now, since the dawn of YouTube. That's why. Hope subscribe for content at Anime Planet. Link in the description down below. You can share this video on your Twitter and Facebook. If you have Twitter and Facebook account, be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking the like button on this video. Please leave it in the comments on any suggestions about which horror movie or any movie to leave it in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel as well. Click on my notifications bell button. Check out my other previous videos that I uploaded as well, because those are my new videos that I've uploaded, I guess. And this is my movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn. Also, for any of you movie fans, suggest me a movie or a horror movie by putting in the comments section below on this video, I guess. This concludes my horror movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn. This is RuRoniK95 saying thank you for watching my horror movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn. I'm glad you liked my horror movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn. I hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next movie review. And have a great day, because this movie was released on October 27, 1997. Thank you for watching my horror movie review on Vampire in Brooklyn.